You're tuning in to Past Our Prime, a show powered by Squad Locker.
Let's be great. Let's be great.
Here are your hosts, retired Astros minor league star Tip Fairchild and former Patriots All-Pro center Dan Copen.
Go rock this thing, huh? Love you, man.
Hi, Dan.
Is that how you want to start?
Episode 78. You were delayed there.
Well,
you go. Do our thing.
I was just taking my time. Don't rush me.
Beautiful day out there.
All right. Welcome to the program, episode 78. That's Tip. I'm Dan. Brought to you as always by Squad Locker, your one-stop shop for all of your custom decoration needs. A dynamic platform for your youth organizations, your high schools, or your businesses, direct to the consumer's home.
Love that.
That's what we
Order
do.
it, ship it right to the house.
We give back people their time, which is the most valuable thing that we can offer.
I have a new role here.
Is it official?
Yep.
When did it become official?
Do you ever check LinkedIn or anything? Or
I've been on LinkedIn a lot lately.
Maybe I don't pop up on your feed. I put up a post.
Maybe we're not friends. Is it friends?
Are we friends?
Are we associates?
Yeah, we're connected, I think. So I do have a new role. So Vice President of Business Development.
Oh, your business development is the new.
That's right.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So
you were director of sales.
Yep. Had a lot of people reporting into that. We've got some good management in place to continue with existing customers and new customers and chat and onboarding and the whole thing. So we're going to refocus some attention towards some large partnership stuff and bringing those things in. We're already rolling. We've been doing this for a couple months, but we just didn't
blood in the
announce it.
water, and you're going for whales.
Oh yeah, we've got some whales. The chum has been
There's plenty
laid.
of chum.
The chum has been spread, dumped.
Yeah,
something, and then you're doing some chumming for me.
I'm chumming. I'm trying to chum.
You're throwing the chum right in, and we're lining it up.
It's the more you can do is probably as a being a part of a team.
Yeah,
the more jobs that you can do, the more job security you have.
Absolutely, I love that.
That's what's been ingrained in me for a long time. So hey, whatever we can do.
Yeah, so
we
have
good people around here that care about getting the job done right.
That's what's happening.
So that's where we are.
And we're coming into heavy busy season again. I think I said that last episode, but this is where really the rubber meets the road. Where the rest of the year is pedal to the metal.
Yeah, I mean,
they would say school starts. Fall sports,
you're coming into fall. You're coming into school, and
holiday,
the kids
winter
have been
sports.
off all summer, so the parents are ready for kids to go back to school.
Yep. And
so let's roll.
We are rolling. So who do we have on today?
We're going to be joined by Jen O'Brien, who's the director of the American Special Hockey Association, which is a really, really cool organization that they have that offer hockey, non-contact hockey, to individuals with mental or physical disabilities, so they can enjoy the sport of hockey.
Yeah. So great cause, great program. They've been utilizing Squad Locker for a while, and maybe we'll talk about that a little bit. But also, there's some other topics that Max did graciously write on the board here for us to cover. Maybe we'll bring Jen in on some of those.
Let's see.
Sounds good.
We'll see. All right, let's bring Jen in.
Let's bring Jen in.
All right, we got Jen O'Brien right now, the executive director. Is it executive director or just director? What do you prefer? What's more powerful of a title?
CEO.
I actually kind of go by Jen. That seems
okay. It's Jen.
Yeah, Jen.
Jen from the American Special Hockey Association.
I like that. That's perfect.
Hey, Jen, my sister has intellectual disabilities, so I grew up going to the Special Olympics. Worked with Best Buddies over the course of the last 10, 15 years when I got into the NFL. So I know all the great things that they do. But tell me, where did the special hockey come from?
Well, special hockey started about 27, 28 years ago in North America in something called the Heart League. And it started with a couple guys in St. Louis and a few folks up in the Toronto area. And what happened is that they realized that individuals with disabilities wanted to play. They had siblings, friends, cousins, uncles, or in Canada, it's, the national sport, it's in their blood, right? So everybody wanted to play the game, but being able to adapt the game and find a way to do that was kind of the mission of the beginning of it all. And the Heart League did a fantastic job with that. And it kind of evolved over the last 26 years in both their organizations, multiple in Canada, and USA Hockey and ASHA both support the need here in the United States. And everything's kind of evolved a lot since. But how it started was a bunch of people who just really wanted to welcome everyone to the game. And I think at the core, that is still what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. So Max told us that's a great message, and perfect type of association and group that we work with at Squad Locker a lot of times, and we like to be inclusive towards whether it's a certain team or activity, at any level, right? Could be at youth, adult, all the way through. That's what we do. Max did tell me, though, that you're currently located in Maine, which automatically makes you a better person right now. Because I'm a Mainer at heart. I just was up there also.
It always goes back to Maine.
Yeah, it does.
If you're from Maine, that's absolutely true. I'm originally from Bangor.
Okay, so you are from Maine originally. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
No, and I actually go back generations on both sides, so I can actually claim to be a real Mainer. I can tell you every Bert and I joke and every Tim Sample joke, and I came out of the county with all my teeth.
I've got.
I know. I was going to say you do have a nice smile.
I do have a follow up to this too.
Okay, I'm ready.
Just basic. Are you good? Okay.
I'm in full sweat.
All right.
It's hot in here
hot here. So, you're from Maine, right? Have you always grown up around hockey?
No.
Not okay. At all. Because when you say Canada, is that how Maine talks? Because it sounds like how hockey players, even if they're from like New York or Wisconsin or Minnesota, you're getting up there, you have an accent there with the A.
I noticed that.
I went to Boston College, so I've hung out with a lot of college hockey players that were from the United States, but it sounds like they're from Canada. And when I'm talking to you, I detect a little Canadian accent. I think it's just from being around hockey people for a long time.
Oh, that would be true. I mean, I spent a lot of time on the phone with Canada yesterday, but I'm really from the Maritimes. So you probably know there's an island called Vinyl Haven. I lived on Vinyl Haven for a while, and Cherryfield and Machias kind of believes they're probably part Canadian anyways. So we're all a bit odd up there, I suppose.
So what's funny, the other day we were looking at the Maine coast. Remember we were looking at the Maine coast and we were trying to find something on a map. And then after Dan was watching, I played around, and I was going to mention this to him, but he was jumped on the phone that I used to play for Monmouth in basketball, and we used to take the ferry to Vinyl Haven and play a basketball game, and then set up cots in the gym, sleep there that night, and then play again the next day, and then go home.
Well, you don't want to take the ferry back and forth. I get it.
Yeah, there's a different rule set when you live out on Vinyl Haven also. There's not much law.
I need to spend more time in Maine to figure out what the heck's going on.
I know we're recording, but did you hear what happened at the beginning of COVID? Some guys were working on a house up near the quarry, and they're all construction guys. They figured they're just going to go quarantine and do COVID up there. And they got on the ferry and came into town, got some groceries at Hannaford's, and they went back. And when they got back, a bunch of locals used chainsaws and guns and told them,
get out.
He's down across the road and said, "You guys can't come out."
Yeah, there's no rules. They make their own law in Vinyl Haven.
Chainsaws and guns.
The Maine just came out in you, Jen. You said Hannaford. Hannaford. Because it technically is Hannaford.
Is that the grocery store?
Yes.
Okay.
But I heard a Hannaford there, which is that's a Maine move right there. So, yeah. I'm
in Booth Bay now. I mean, I won't lie. I'm on Southport, so I'm kind of I live in a camper for most of the summer, so I have it's kind of a nice break after being all over the country. Going to rinks and everything else. I have a family, a great husband, 2 kids, and me and my 2 dogs are here, and I left everybody back in New York.
Well, speaking of family, there is a bullet post that Max put up on the board here that you were the New York State Mother of the Year. Is that a thing? I feel like there should be.
Max not going to make that. Max isn't going to make that up.
I know. I feel like there should be a big plaque behind you or a medal that you wear for that.
I do have a medal. I do have a medal. So my daughter and some friends nominated me in 2018 for the New York State Mother of the Year. And I think my response was much like yours, yeah, sure. And then I found out a little bit more about the organization. It's called American Mothers. And They were not weird. So I kind of was like, okay, they weren't weird.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be a really neat group of people. And so I was recognized as a 2018 Mother of the Year. But since we all like hockey and sports, I'll tell you the 2022 Mother of the Year for all of the country happens to be Doris Donnelly. And she was quite well known for blind hockey out of Colorado. And I didn't get to vote for her because we were friends. I had to, but American Mothers was started by Eleanor Roosevelt back in the day. And we are recognized as the folks who actually own the trademark of Mother of the Year.
Well,
so
Tip's not very good on history, so he might not know who Eleanor Roosevelt was.
I've got history covered, and this feels like something that should be promoted more. There should be a televised event, where they have all the states come in, kind of like a Miss America or a whatever pageant, and then the moms are like, hey. You do the crowning. I don't know what the appropriate trophy should be. It's a medal.
Well,
it's a medal.
It's
crowning,
definitely
medal.
not a beauty pageant. I'll say that. I mean,
no, it's even better than that. You're the people that dropped everybody off at the rink or brought us to the field and like made sure that the dinner was on the table and the cooler was packed.
Lunches.
Yeah, that's more important than anything.
Well, it's a really cool group, and if you guys want to help get the word out, we're always looking for more mothers to get nominated. And I'm actually now part of the national board, and I don't know if Max is going to put up there. One of the other things I do with it is I'm now a delegate to the United Nations for the UN Council for the Status of Women. I'm one of like tens of thousands of women, but it is really kind of cool to get involved with that. It's been about 3 weeks in March every year, like attending different events, mostly online these last 2 years, just really learning more about what other mothers are doing across the world and post-COVID. So it's been kind of cool, but there is a lot of group of hockey moms and sports moms and football moms and baseball moms. And we talk a lot about how sport and health and connecting kids and connecting families and raising up not only, our children, but raising up our communities through our connections. And it takes teams. And so sports always plays a big role in that. Yep. So it's always fun to kind of talk about that.
Let's touch on that for a minute. Yeah. Because we did this a couple weeks ago. We talked about, so I have 2 young daughters, 8 and 6. Dan's in the same kind of age bracket, a little bit older, and has 3 kids. So I'm starting to learn what it's like to be a parent at these events. And you said, we have a lot of baseball moms and softball moms and hockey moms. And it's a lot.
It's intense.
It's not just, and it's dads too, but like we're talking Mother of the Year. So, it's not about as much about, like when I was growing up, it was like the oranges at halftime, right? And cheering in the stands. Now it's like, man, this is getting intense. Like parents are getting cranked up and fired up. Where do you stand on this? Are you like a crazy parent, or were you, when your kids were growing up, like a crazy parent, crazy mom, or dad? That's like going nuts at the officials and wanting to fight everybody in the parking lot? Or were you much more of a, hey, I'm going to root for my kid and our team?
Well, both of my kids have cerebral palsy. So I'll also like to tell this story, and then I'll get into where I stand on it. But my kids they were about your kids' ages, maybe a year younger. We went to a dance recital, and my daughters one has left hemiplegia, which means she's paralyzed on her left side. And my other daughter had 65 small strokes. So she's kind of like low tone. My kids were both very unique, but they ended up like in one of those like win $10,000 video moments. They got into an argument at the end of the stage during their Irish dance named O'Brien, right? And they were like arguing with each other. And we got off the stage and they got off the stage and everybody was crying and laughing and carrying on because it was really, really hysterical, except for 2 moms who were like the dance moms. And the dance moms pitched such a fit that my daughters got kicked out of dance. They were like, yeah, this isn't going to work. And so later that afternoon, I came home when we got home, there was a voicemail from the local folks who do field hockey. And they were like, yeah, we really don't take kids with disabilities. And so your kids don't qualify for field hockey. And I'm like, they're 5 years old. Like they can't play.
Yep.
And then I opened the mail and I had a letter from Special Olympics. And Special Olympics said because my kids didn't have cognitive disabilities, they only had cerebral palsy, they also didn't qualify for Special Olympics.
Wow.
So that was a really bad day.
Yeah.
And a lot of people ask me why I do what I do and why I got involved with special hockey and American special hockey, or what I do. And if you want to talk about me being a mother, well, I did what every mother does, is I really look hard for a way to find my kids to belong and to feel like they belong to something, and to learn more from other people, from teamwork, from sportsmanship and everything else. And so I started hanging around more and more with the local AHL Senators in Binghamton, New York. And we started another non-for-profit that basically threw paint at everybody. It was super fun, called the Magic Paintbrush Project. And we served about 66,000 people by mistake, but we had a good time doing it over 12 years. And then from that, we started a special hockey team like a few years down the road, and one thing leads to another. And so when you talk about those two dance moms, right? Maybe I should go back and thank them.
Right.
Because they just put me towards like a different direction of finding alternative ways to let my kids be involved with something, even if they don't play hockey. Now, mind you, neither of my kids really wanted to play hockey, but they loved being around hockey. They're great managers. They're great equipment managers. They can do anything, great organizers. They just didn't really want to play hockey itself, but they both know the sports. And my husband's involved with MMA and boxing. So both of them can also judge an MMA match any day. So
Got it. And so with the organization now, how many total members, would it be called members? How many members are in it? How spread out is it, right? Like, is it in every state? Like, take us through that a little bit.
Right. So the American Special Hockey Association had 55 teams when I started with it 6 years ago. And like anything lately, things have been evolving at a different pace than usual. So we're now at about 119 organizations that we support. We have about 98 to 99 on the ice as of right now. There'll be about 112 on the ice, I think, by November of this year. We have 5,055 current registrants as of this morning, because I was looking at the paperwork. We're the most diverse league on the continent. So you'll find people of all ethnic backgrounds, boys, girls, ages. We go from 5 to 50 on the same line. We start at age 5. So we try not to put, a little tiny guy below 5 on the line with a 26-year-old kid. But it goes by their ability to play. So you may be just learning to skate, that's your C level. You may be a B level, and the basics of the game will look a little bit more like an 8U game. And then if you get into our higher level, they'll look like high school, varsity levels. And we have some collegiate players as well. And we have a lot of kids who've gone on to play college club hockey, which is amazing to us. So we really have to, not only are we diverse in who we are, we're diverse in our abilities. And we go from Alaska. We have a team in Anchorage, and I have a team in South Florida. So, and San Diego we're just starting one in Maine. So just, they're the Penobscot Phoenix, just so you know.
Nice.
So
We have a challenge. We call it up in our area where we live, Challenger Leagues, where on a Friday night for a flag football game, hour from 5 to 6 will be the Challenger kids doing that. And flag's only once a week, and they have soccer and baseball and other sports as well. How does that hockey work? You say some kids are going on in college and playing club. Is that? Hockey's a commitment, right?
And also rink time is hard.
Rink time and all that. So is it like practice nights? Is it skills and games where they play one another? What's the time commitment for the Special Hockey League?
Well, it really depends. If you think about, we serve such a variety of athletes and such a variety of needs that one of the challenges of my job is that I have 119 people who invented the sport in their community. So they have to adapt that team to work for their community. So some are simply small youth hockey that use hockey as a way to do lots of social interactions and social time, and but none of us are competitive. Okay. So we don't have like these tournaments where winner takes all. Okay. Yeah. That's not the way we play. We're always friendly style. So what happens is some teams play like that, and there are teams that like to play more competitively, that have that regular, more regimented feel, and very typical hockey. And if that works for them, that's great. We just try to work with them to match them towards other teams that have the same playing methodologies and the thinking. and we make sure that the coaches are talking beforehand. We have very few like really regimented rules. No, there's no hitting, there's, no slap shots, things like that. But as long as everybody, obviously you don't start before the age of 5, but we're non-contact for the most part. So we'd really try to work with the coaches and the organizations to find another one that's a good match for their needs. So those players can play where they need to play.
Yep.
Everybody needs to be the dignity of who they are. Just because you're not playing, top level hockey doesn't mean that you're any less able to be an incredible teammate. And we really want to bring that home every time we can, as everybody has the ability to be a good sport and a good teammate, no matter how good you can skate or how good you can score. What you can do always is be there, and that's a big part of what we do. And so creating that network of sharing of information and sharing resources and sharing, opportunities is so crucial to what we do with our association.
Right. You may have said this earlier. You didn't grow up playing hockey. You didn't have that in your background. The girls are like equipment managers and that sense, and not necessarily on the ice. But so how did special hockey, how'd you find that?
So it kind of found us. I was obviously we were doing a lot of work with the Binghamton Senators at the time. And one of the guys who used to play for the Binghamton Senators, a guy named Matt Karkner. And when the AHL team was pulling out and going to Belleville, they were kind of doing different things in the community. And I got a little miffed because I'm a mom, and moms are like, okay, let's go fix this. I'm like, all right, so you guys don't want to do as much as you were doing in the community, so fine. I heard about this special hockey team thing, so we're just going to start a special hockey team. And
okay, gotcha.
That's how it started. And what happened was after about 2 years of me doing that with that one local team, I got contacted by the board of directors and the founder of American Special Hockey. He was looking to kind of retire out. And he asked me if I'd be interested in taking on the role that I have now. And because I'm really, really particular about governance and transparency and good business practice. And so it was really important for me to, consider what I wanted to do. And then I went out and tried to help as many of these organizations figure out how to be, the best that they needed to be, and helping give tools, materials, and opportunity to do that. So it took me a few months to make the decision, but it was my younger daughter, who was, I think in 8th grade at the time, who said she really wanted me to, go for it. And because she thought it would be super fun. And so we did it together.
Yeah, the hockey and the NHL has come up twice in these really inclusive conversations that we're having. I was
thinking the same thing too, yeah.
Kurt, what was his last name, Max? Weaver, am I thinking? Kurt, who was our guest from You Can Play Project? We'll plug in the right name. So the You Can Play Project is another big initiative, right, with inclusion for the LGBTQ community, right? And they mentioned also that hockey is like where this really, really started, and the NHL and those teams were a big part of that. And you're kind of saying the same thing, like this really started with hockey and them being open and receptive to this and like wanting to be part of it, which is hockey's been twice now in this kind of inclusive
very,
thing.
Very recent too.
And it got me thinking like of how I don't see it a lot in baseball, softball, maybe not in football because it's a little more contact and everything too.
Yeah, but they do the flag. I think flag is really inclusive with that because that takes the physicality out as well, as Jen was talking about.
One sport I was thinking about too that you do see a lot of adaptive, type of, programs that are out there is skiing. I see that all the time. Like when you go to the ski mountain, like that
Absolutely.
And you being from Maine, you probably know, like every single mountain you go to, Sugarloaf or Sunday River or Loon, they always have almost a, pretty substantial like adaptive ski center, right? And it's a big piece of it. So it's these winter sports, it's these ice sports.
I'd love to tell you we love the adaptive skiing. Both my daughters loved adaptive skiing. So I just want you to know they did it as well. And I would say the large majority of our athletes participate in adaptive skiing if it's in their area. They also participate in Challenger League baseball a lot, Challenger basketball. We're starting to do a little bit more unified. So if you've seen the stuff that Special Olympics is doing, they're doing more unified. We just had our first unified games for higher level. down in Florida with the Florida Panthers. We were really excited to have that with them. We just did them. They were super fun. But let's talk about the NHL really quick and what they're doing with inclusion. And I can at least say that I have enough firsthand experience there to not be someone who's going to be criticizing them. Kim Davis, Jeff Scott, and that entire crew that is behind the scenes at the NHL has been working tirelessly from the minute I met them. And Jeff Scott, even previous to his position, he was with the New Jersey Devils, that they were really looking to change the culture of how hockey was, embracing everybody. They really wanted to open up the doors to more people to feel welcome to the sport. And as a woman who works in the sport, I can tell you it's sometimes very difficult to really feel like you're welcome and a part of it. It's an old boys club. It really is. But it's getting better. And Kim Davis and her entire group, Paula Karuba is another one, and Commissioner Bettman is also super supportive. The NHL really realized that they had to change their game plan in order to make sure that this sport had a future. They had to include more people.
Right.
And, I think one of the things Kim often says is, it's the momentum, not just, keep the momentum going. It's not the moment. Keep that momentum. You have to keep the movement going. And it's not you'll have good moments and you'll have bad moments, but we're all just kind of keeping this sport going. So I did spend about 2 years with the Youth Hockey Inclusion Committee, which was a short-term committee that they brought together people of all abilities and all backgrounds to figure out how to make hockey more inclusive at the youth level. And they've been talking a lot about these challenging and difficult conversations. They were some really challenging and difficult conversations. And one of the conversations, everybody would talk about the obvious things that are going on about inclusion. And I'd be in the background going, hey, you're all one hit away from being one of us. Do you want to know that we're here? And I think one of the benefits of being from the state of Maine is I have absolutely no filter. So you have no problem whatsoever saying, come on, when are you going to realize that, 1 in every 4 Americans is impacted by a disability, whether it's themselves or a member of their family? 1 in every 6 human beings that go to a hockey game need some kind of way to get in there or have to do something different to access it less than traditionally.
Yep.
So pay attention to, it's not always the obvious barriers to inclusion. Sometimes disabilities and barriers aren't seen. And so a lot of the work that we do with the association is to let people see that this is an active part of hockey. Like, just because they're not like the greatest players out there, right? Not everybody's going to be Alex Ovechkin, right? But what does Alex Ovechkin love to do with us once a year? Skate with us. And you can't tell the difference between Alex on the ice and our other kids, other than he steals everyone's pucks, and then I tell him to give me his. I'm probably the only Maine person who's ever been able to say I've chased around Alex Ovechkin and took away his stick one time because he was digging. He couldn't keep it off the puck. But he's so great with the kids, and he's so great with the athletes. And so when you see that kind of inclusion of all levels and all communities and all cultures, you see so much more. But I have to really thank the NHL. They have been really brave. They have taken some real heated moments from me. I don't stop advocating. That's probably the largest part of my job is always advocating.
Yeah. I mean, I think the NHL, and we've heard that, and what you just said is absolutely what we heard. And, the players that are playing in youth leagues now, right? Not everybody is playing in the NHL, but what they're doing is growing their fan base.
Yep.
And that applies to the people with special needs as well, and in growing that fan base doesn't mean like we're not playing in the NHL. Not all of us are playing in the NHL, but we're going to go to those games. We're going to support those athletes. We're going to buy their jerseys. My sister learned at a slower pace than a normal person. So, whether her learning was affected or whatever, but I guarantee you she knew everything there was about football.
Yeah.
She was my biggest fan, whatever team I was playing for, their biggest fan, going to games, cheering on, knew all the players. And when she would go to these things and watch it on TV nonstop, and not even if I was playing, she would just watch NFL football. She was just a fan.
Yep.
And you go and watch these kids, and I looked at your planner for the special hockey. That planner is absolutely incredible. They're going to the Bruins. They're going to the Columbus Blue Jackets. They're going to the Florida Panthers. What's it like for these kids, and not only these kids, these parents, when they walk into these arenas and be like, holy, I was going to curse there. I'm not going to curse, but holy crap, look at this ice or look at this arena. Their faces just have to light up.
Mm-hmm. It is really rewarding. But it's equally rewarding to see the look on the folks that have worked behind the scenes to make that moment happen. Mm-hmm. So I get to be the fly on the wall for that. And I think I get as emotional seeing that whole mix happen. And let's talk about Florida for a bit. The Florida Panthers, I approached them and asked them if we could do what we call our A-friendly games, which is our higher level games. And then I said, hey, why don't we do these unified with the local kids coming? And they ended up bringing the hockey team from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, and those guys. And of course, they've had a lot of trauma going on as well. And they brought a couple other, the local high school, but a lot of them came from that area around Coral Springs. And what we did is we put them all on the benches together, and nobody knew really who was disabled and who wasn't disabled. And we had some really great games, but we did go over to Florida Live, which used to be BB&T Center. Now it's Florida Live. And they didn't really tell us what was going to go on other than they weren't going to tell us who was going to be in the locker room. By the way, it was Lomberg, who's also from Maine, just so you know. He played for University of Maine. And
it all goes back to Maine.
Every time.
It always does. It always does. But they the athletes, the parents, we kind of broke the parents off. And the parents went out into the bowl where we had set up this beautiful pizza party. Like, it looked amazing. They had the lights, everything was their logo. Their kids' names were up there. They had the Jumbotron going. They had half of it set up for street hockey and half of it for this pizza party. And we let the parents just visit. But what they realized that NHL space was all about them. Mm-hmm. Like, they went and stood at where center ice would be if the ice was in and looked up at the Jumbotron and saw their kids' names. And you saw them wiping away tears. Like and it's about that feeling of I'm included,
yep.
And it really was. And at the same time, the athletes were taken to the locker room where when they walked in, they had jerseys that had their name on them all done up. And they had the locker tags, you get there with your name on it and the logo. Mm-hmm. That's up there. And it's like the real one. It's not even like done on paper. It was really done. And Ryan was in there greeting each of them. And it was remarkable to see how much that meant to them. And then we walked them out. When they got through with the locker room, they would walk out through like the Panther head, just as the players would have skated out, right? To their parents cheering them on. And that was a great feeling. But when I looked over and saw the Panthers staff, the looks on their faces when they realized that just that little bit of effort on their part was so big. When you're in the grind, you guys are both in professional sports, when you're in the grind, it's the grind, right? Mm. Getting that reminder of why it's so real and so pure is so inspiring to keep you going. Yeah. So I think I watched that happen and was like, that was so good. That was so good.
Yeah, there's the saying that
gave me goosebumps.
Yeah, I know that's how it works. And there's the saying that always sign as many autographs as you can because you never know when it's going to be your last one. And I always looked at it that way when I was playing. Like in the minor leagues, if there was 85 kids lined up, it was like, what's like 5 more minutes for me if I'm not late for something? If I have to be somewhere, like, it's tough, right? But if you're going in and the food's out and you're like, geez, I'd like to go get a quick bite to eat before the game, like, it's going to be there in 5 minutes. So sign every one of the kids' things because you don't know what's going to change their, Dan, you're in that situation too. And this isn't like I don't know how to say this without, it's not like a braggadocious thing. It's like, you don't know if that's the first ball the kids ever had signed and it's the only one that's on their shelf right now. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's funny, like, I'll see these things. I'm in this big, massive Facebook group that's all current and former major minor league baseball players. There's 15,000 of us in it. And there's these pictures sometimes they'll pop up of a ball or something signed and people are trying to recognize like whose it was. And then it's because that might have been like their kid's only signature that they had, right? Until maybe like their dad was a pro athlete or something. And that one of them popped up with me the other day.
Nice.
That was, it was my signature in a set of cards. And it was like I was like the last one to come in for this like set of 80, and it's like those things are, if I didn't sign that person wouldn't have ever had it probably. Right. And like, it's a cool thing to, always sign them, because you don't know when it's going to be your last.
No, I like what she said about the joy on their faces, because I've been involved with these athletes on a number of different events over different sports or different times in my life. And you're right, it goes back to the purity of the game and just wanting to be there around their friends and socialize and learn those values. And you can't get that time back, even if it's just for an hour on a Friday for flag football instance. It doesn't matter how long or whatever. It just look at why they're doing it. They're doing it for the pure love of the game.
Yep, absolutely.
Absolutely true. And that's one of the other things that works really well for our organization, is that we have peer coaches. So they're called mentors or junior coaches. And some of our teams have, I think we have one in Southern Connecticut that has about 125 kids sign up to do that, and other ones have 10 or 15. We try to recognize 3 a year or 4 a year for a scholarship, just for what they're doing. And that those friendships that are built in sports go well beyond the locker room. And I think both of you know that, and how important that is. And why you think about that signature, how much that would mean to a kid. And sometimes that's just a connection. It's a feeling like you're connected. My prized possession, just so you know, is a Ted Williams signed ball that I got from Yastrzemski that I will never give up. Like my house might burn down.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Tip's coming up the Maine to grab.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a real good one. You mentioned the uniform thing too, and we'll talk about a little bit the squad locker side, where you're wearing, an item that's logoed, has your name on it, and like and that's how we feel here at Squad Locker. Like, and one major thing that we talk about is inclusion with all sports and all clubs and activities, right? Where if you're the high school, we'll cover high school for a second because it's just easier to talk about schools with this. That the football team is like going to have somebody that helps them get their gear, right? That probably the hockey team, the baseball team, right? There's maybe soccer. Like, there's a lot of sports that probably have that, thing that they get.
They're at the top of the list.
Top of the list. Yeah. But there are a ton of clubs and activities and sports that don't get that. And that's where we look at it. We don't need to be, because we have no minimums and because we do the artwork for free. It can be the chess club that has 3 people in it, right? Or the robotics team, or the student council that has 5 people, or if there's there's some type of unified team, that combines a few schools, right? Like, we can help with that, and that's a big, huge part of our mission, because, like you said, when the kids went in and saw their jerseys in there, or they're able to buy a sweatshirt that has the logo, that's massive, right? And that's a feeling of belonging to something. Like the handing out of the jerseys, or the jersey coming to your house, is a massive event in a kid's life, no matter how many teams you play for. Yep. Right. And that's what we think.
Absolutely. And you guys make it easy, just so you know. I'll give you, I love to work. The Squad Locker is attached to our website, and all of our teams are able to access it and set up a store. And not only can they get the merchandise that they want, they get to decide on what they want it on. There's a real big variety, and there's a lot of clothing that you have on that, and things that are on there that are accessible clothing. So you should know that we noted that.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's not even, that's something that somebody thought of, probably not me. Merchandising team probably thought about that. But you also have, though, one of our favorites. You have Katie Gay as your customer success manager, who is probably our top hockey person, our favorite hockey person.
I think she's the top hockey person around here for a lot of people.
For sure.
For a lot of people.
And do you know her story with, like, so she's one of the first female refs, right? All that. So, yeah, Katie's got a great story.
I'm the first member, besides her mother, of her fan club. And I was going to run around chasing her at Cornell with a giant fat head one day. And she just cracks me up. She's a really good, I love her. I love her. She's so sensible.
Yep.
But I've seen her on the ice when she's kind of gotten a little miffed, and it's really funny.
Yeah, nice.
So you don't bring the crazy hockey parent out unless you're around Katie.
No, and then I'm just the crazy hockey fan. You can just tell her that.
Got it.
She asks me all the time if I'm riding my big wheel because I drive too slow. She said, like, if on 495, she's like, what did you ride your big wheel down 495? Because it took me like 2 hours longer than it should have one day.
I do have another Maine question for you. So 42, 1, and 2. Do you know what that number is, Dan? 42, 1, and 2?
It's got probably just something to do with Monmouth.
No, it doesn't have anything. No, the Maine hockey was 42, 1, and 2. Was it? I can't remember what year it was though. 92. I can't remember this one, Jen. But they had Paul Correa, Montgomery, Gar Snow, the Ferraro brothers. 42, 1, and 2. Best hockey team ever.
Did they win it?
Yeah.
Okay.
National champion. So that's a big Maine piece. My other question though is, you said New York and you're in Boothbay, and you're from Maine, but are you a Patriots fan or a Red Sox fan, or where does your fandom lie?
My fandom? Well, my adopted mother is probably the biggest Patriots fan ever. And she's very excited that I'm actually getting to be on a podcast with you because I asked her if she knew who you were.
Mm-hmm. Did she say no?
Please tell me she said no.
Did she say
Please
no?
tell me she said no.
So she's a Patriots fan. The only time I've ever went to an NFL game, I was a Giants versus the Seahawks, and I fell asleep. I'm going to be honest with you.
All right, so you're more a Patriots fan. I'll take that as a Patriots fan.
Yeah, so you're just going to go with the Pats.
There you go.
Okay.
And then when it comes to baseball, I am a Red Sox fan.
Mm-hmm. Good.
When it comes to hockey, I'm a Washington Capitals fan. I always have been.
This feels like an Ovechkin thing.
Actually, it's not an Ovechkin thing. My parents moved to Washington, D.C. in 1980, so I started going to games out in Landover when I was a kid. So
okay,
all
right, we'll call it.
Mm-hmm. But to your point, I'm actually, if I'm not rooting for the Red Sox, I'm actually rooting for the Astros because my aunt is the super fan. That was all over the place during. Oh
yeah, you mentioned that you went down to spring training down there. I saw that message.
Make all your cookies.
That's right.
She used to make a lot of cookies. Her name was Jan Mingus, or she's still down there. And when she ended up in the hospital, and Altuve actually went to the hospital with her for 3 nights. So she's actually really close with all of them. So
I was in extended spring training with Altuve. He was a 17-year-old kid then. Great rock band player. He was in my rock band group. Great guitar player in rock band. Well, but
you probably Jan probably made you cookies. She's been doing it for well over 20 years.
Yeah, very good chance.
I want to know if Jan knows you. That's what I want to find out.
Can
you message us, Jan?
Jan does not know
I want to know if Jan has
Actually,
heard
you know what? Maybe Jan does know me. Maybe Jan does know
Maybe she does.
You know what your name was.
Okay. All right.
That's well, I do have a pretty good name. I have a good recognizable name.
Just the tip.
For an athlete. So my other one though is I was going to bring up Celtics because there's the news is Bill Russell died.
Bill Russell passed. Yes.
That's not something you want to read during the day, but that's 11 championships, like all time great. He won at every level, all over the place.
Yep.
He
won 2 with San Francisco, 8 in a row, and then 11. And then Max said today he was the first.
He was
a player coach.
And a coach.
Player and a coach at the same time, and the first African American coach. Just an absolute pioneer of the sport.
Probably,
Absolutely.
I guess you could probably define him as probably one of the biggest winners of all time.
The greatest winner, probably.
Unless you have over 100 wins in the NFL, 100 games played in the NFL, then Dan Copen is the number one winningest athlete of all time in the NFL.
Even Jen would agree with this. I think it's about championships.
You're right.
It is
about championships.
Not in special hockey, but
major sport.
In major sports, it's about bringing home that last game. So Bill Russell did that better than anybody else.
That's true.
Did. But he also was a good human being.
Yes.
And he was a champion for anybody and everything. So you think about, sometimes it's about those who win the sport, maybe able to score the goals or, hit the home runs or get the field goals. But at the end of the day, how good are you as a sportsman? How are you good and within that sports community to grow and attract more people to the game?
Yep.
To make them feel like that they could be there too.
Well, we think that you're a very good sportsman. We think that is a good definition for you. You've grown the game. You've done amazing things. There's 5,500 people playing. Part of this, and a huge part of that's probably from your efforts and work. So We appreciate that, and thank you. And then also thank you for being a Squad Locker customer. This is like it's a treat to have it. You know, we know that we help thousands and tens and thousands of teams all over the place, but like hearing these stories are super meaningful to us because it really hits what we try to do. Give people more time, make sure we expand the game, make sure that we're inclusive for everybody is a big part of our mission. It also
makes people see one another. And I think, leaving on that point, or, bringing that point home, is when someone is wearing something that has someone to look, oh, you too. And then all of a sudden there's a bond and a connection, or where did you get that? And one of the things that we do like about Squad Locker is that there's such a variety, right? So you finally got my champion reverse weave sweatshirt. Like I've been waiting for that one. And I got that, and I wore it a couple of weeks ago at a camp, and I probably got like 20 compliments going, I want that. And so, well, hey, here's the link, go get it, And it's really important for people to, why do these logos and why do teams have the big banners and all the look to them? Is that because you identify to that group. I always wear a Washington Capitals hat. It's on the other side of the camper right now, and we say, it's supposed to say go Caps or all Caps or something, right? And, if I'm wearing a Red Sox thing and I'm in New York City, I tend to get booed at. I take it as a compliment,
Yep.
But in other words, there's some kind of interaction that happens that makes you feel like you belong to something bigger than yourself. And then that your team has your back in one way or the other, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's something that Squad Locker makes the smaller teams that wouldn't have the quality. If they're going, sometimes you can just get really high quality things at a really good price for a way that, that's accessible. Like a lot of our folks can't always get out to a store just as easy. If your kid's having an absolute autistic meltdown, going shopping's not exactly easy.
Right.
But shopping online and making choices together online at the speed that individual needs to do it, that's priceless.
Yep.
And that's a really good opportunity. So we like to make the most of that at every opportunity that we can. So we thank you for that.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you
very
for
much.
what you do, and we can't wait to see what you guys are doing and follow you along in the future. I know your work's not done. You could just see the dedication in you and how you talk about it and how it lights up your face. And by the way, the American Special Hockey Association logo is fire.
Oh, it is a nice logo.
It's a great logo.
It is a very good logo. Yeah, it's a very good logo. And then we want to let you get back out. I know that you probably are ready to go out onto the water or something up there in Maine because it's the most beautiful state.
If I could, can I leave you with one story? Because it's one I'd like to tell everybody,
Yes,
and you
absolutely.
can put it in as you want, and why it's important, and why sports is important, and specifically for us at Special Hockey, is that almost every time, every festival of the 30 that you saw that we have listed, there's always going to be that parent who's never thought that they would be welcomed or be a part of something. And their kid's out on the ice for the first time for their first real game, however it may look. It's probably a C-level game. And we have stinky sock penalties and too many sticks on the ice penalties that happen. And that means that somebody hasn't scored. And they're going to set it up for that athlete to finally get their goal. And how we normally see that happening is that everybody observes and seeing how that can be best done, but it has to be authentic. And without fail, that parent is standing at the end of the ice behind the goal, terrified of, oh my God, my kid's going to fall on the ice. My kid's going to have a meltdown. My kid's going to, something's going to happen where they're going to be just embarrassed about something that's happened. And that happens to all of us. We're never really embarrassed for our kids, but we just wish for one moment it was real and that they could have that one moment. And that parent is always sitting at the end of the ice. And one by one, you'll see the other parents start to kind of get around them, behind them. And they won't notice them because they're so focused on their kid. And as that kid gets set up for the goal, you'll see more and more parents behind them. And all of a sudden, when that kid finally gets that goal, they turn around and they realize that there's a whole crowd of people cheering for them. And that's really what's important about sports, is how these communities make sure that they don't just have to score, that every kid has the ability to achieve their goals. And that is why I'm so proud to do what I do.
There's nothing better than getting cheered for.
I don't think you can end it any better, Jen. So Thank you very much for that. Thank you for that story.
At American Special Hockey, right, is the Instagram handle for you guys? At
American Special Hockey. Zach runs it because I can't figure it out.
We can't either. Max runs ours, and he does a really poor job of it, by the way. We think we're shadow banned.
I'm the one who does, I do the Facebook, so Zach can steal stuff off of it. But it's specialhockey.org. We always tell people to try to visit our website. If you would mind, since I'm here, in about a week, we're going to be releasing our new season video. And it's called We Belong. It's a lot of folks saying we belong in hockey and we belong in the game. We belong with our teammates. And if you don't mind, I'd love it if you guys would share that.
Absolutely.
Of course we will.
Yes, 100%. Send it to us.
We'll share that. Absolutely. So and then the Instagram, just so I have it right again, is at American Special Hockey. But and then it's what's the website again?
But that's not your fault. She does Facebook.
That's not your handle. You do the space. You do the Facebook thing.
I do
we have a Facebook page, Max?
Twitter Special Hockey.
What was Twitter again?
Twitter is Special Hockey.
Okay. All right. So the handle thing is still new for Dan and I. We're not great on the old social media game. I'm getting good at reels, but that's it. So
Tip's a real master.
Yeah, really good reel master.
I can't even figure that part out. I called Snapchat Snapfish for the longest time. And
you and Belichick.
Yeah.
You and Belichick. You did
he did my face. MySpace and
Snapbook?
Facebook. No, maybe it was Snapbook too. He always said my face or something like
That's
that.
funny.
After a while, it's just like, okay, you're just milking this out a little bit longer.
Well, we always like to have a Mainer on, so we appreciate it, and
Thank
you so much, Jen.
You'll hear it soon.
All right, perfect.
Thanks so much.
Guys. I appreciate your time.
All right, bye, Jen.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Past Our Prime is brought to you by Squad Locker. Squad Locker is your one-stop shop for custom team apparel, delivered right to your front door. Learn more by visiting squadlocker.com.